The manga that we will tell you today is called The Hero Returns. We wish you a pleasant listening. Be sure to write comments, we read them all and answer absolutely every one of them and become our subscribers, we are very pleased. The character of our story is a young boy. He awakens in a space unknown to him, it looks like space, but apparently it is a world between universes. The character is greeted by an unknown voice and an invisible hand that reaches out to him. The voice asks to save his world. Suddenly, there are more voices, more hands appear, more and more. Voices merge into a terrible cry for help, they beg the hero to save them, save their world from terrible destruction. The boy does not understand what is happening, he is afraid and calls his mother. The protagonist asks her to help him, to explain why unknown voices are calling him, why he is called a hero, why he is begging for salvation. The boy does not want to become a hero for an unknown world, he is scared. He does not believe that he can save the whole world, he thinks that nothing will come of it. Suddenly, a bright silhouette of a woman appears in front of the boy, warmth and care emanates from her, this is his mother. She does not try to calm him down, she tells the young boy that he is a hero, he is the hope of the whole world, only he can prevent the whole world from destruction. The woman is dissatisfied with the insignificant thoughts of her son, she does not recognize his insecurity, she requires him to be strong. She believes that the best fate for her boy is his becoming a hero of the whole world. The woman is convinced that it is better to die like a hero than to live all the time in fear of the unknown. With a slight movement of her hand, the woman pushes the boy into the abyss. This moment marks a change in the boy's life, he falls into the unknown, where he can become stronger. The boy falls in the wake of invisible hands that call to him for help. It seems as if the hands are pulling the boy along, they believe that he is their only hope. There is a bright flash, which indicates that the hero will never be the same again and will not return to that unknown space. At this moment, as soon as the flash passes, the main character appears before us, but in a different guise. This is a young man, he looks 20 years old, his name is Kim Sung-in. He wakes up, gets up with heaviness in his legs, raises his beautiful sword and sees the landscapes of the destroyed world that are understandable and already known to him. Kim Sung-in looks down with a great feeling of hatred for the monsters of this world. The most terrible creatures do not leave the main character alone for a second, which irritates Kim Sung-in very much. Kim Sung-in looks down from a tall building, we see his fighting form. He is dressed in a long grey cloak that stretches right to the floor, he has a metal pad on his left shoulder that protects him from the deadly blows of monsters, his left arm is completely bandaged. In the recent past, Kim Sung-in was seriously injured in the battle with a dangerous monster and the only salvation for him was a bandage that protected him from blood loss. He has a long blue scarf around his neck, and he has a short blade in his hands, which is his main weapon. Against the terrible monsters of the destroyed world. From the height of the destroyed building, we can notice a horde of terrible, diverse monsters, whose only goal is to kill the main character and destroy the rest of the world. We are told that Kim Sung-in has a 9th level of mana, and her total is equal to 97. We can see that Kim Sung-in is a very strong hero whose leveling is at a very high level. This amount of mana allows him to resist ordinary monsters without any difficulty and kill them in huge numbers. Kim Sung-in makes a swift jump right into the epicenter of the monsters. A fierce battle ensues, with one Kim Sung-in facing off against a large number of monsters. He performs the most difficult blows with which he confronts the constantly advancing monsters. We notice that the hero is given the title, Hero. You might think that his mother was right and the main character of our story is able to resist the forces of evil and he deserves to be the hero of this world. The battle continues as Kim Sung-in delivers a final crushing blow that becomes fatal to more of the monsters involved in the battle. After a crushing blow, we see that the hero is very tired, he has run out of all his strength. Kim Sung-in is on one knee, coughing up blood, indicating that he is exhausted and needs to replenish his strength. Suddenly, a rough, terrible, most terrible voice appears. The voice calls out to Kim Sung-in and points out that his powers are so great that he can rightfully be considered a hero of this world. The voice belongs to Fafnir, the great evil, the leader of the monsters that destroyed all of humanity. Its dimensions are so large that the ruined skyscrapers of the city in which the battle takes place seem like small houses in comparison with it. Fafnir is interested in the power of the protagonist, he has never met a person who could reach such a level of mana and not die. Fafnir respects the protagonist and wants to absorb his powers in order to gain an immense level of mana and destroy the last hero who can defeat him and stand in the way of the destruction of all mankind. Kim Sung-in understands that he has no strength left for a long and cruel battle with Fafnir. However, he gathers all his will into a fist, concentrates the remaining mana into one deadly blow, which should defeat Fafnir. The hero runs up and hits Fafnir with all his might with his blade, hoping to cut him in half. The hero makes his attack. He is repelled by a force field created from immense mana. Fafnir. The hero falls on the ruins of the ruined city and is exhausted from pain. The damage inflicted on him by Fafnir cannot be compared with anything. We can see a huge number of abrasions and cuts on the body of the main character. Fafnir's strength is immense and Kim Sung-in cannot resist it. We see that the hero's fatigue has reached its maximum. He can no longer fight, he has lost. The hanging silhouette of Fafnir marks the defeat of the protagonist, but the hero does not despair. He laughs. He simply does not believe that this is how he will meet his death. Lying, without a single ability to move, Kim Sung-in is waiting for the last blow from Fafnir in order to finally go to the world of the dead. Suddenly, the hero hears the voice of his mother. However, without giving her the opportunity to utter the words, Kim Sung-in shouts that he is not a hero of the whole world. He points out that he is not able to protect anyone, because he lost the decisive battle that could save this world from destruction. Kim Sung-in will be disappointed in himself. His last words show that the nature of that little boy who never believed in himself remained to live inside him. Kim Sung-in screams that he is not a hero. For him this is all meaningless nonsense. He has lost hope and met his death as a non-entity, unable to defend even himself. Fafnir swings and hits Kim Sung-in with all his might. This blow becomes decisive. Kim Sung-in dies in the world he tried to protect. The hero no longer sees anything. He can do nothing. There is only darkness in front of him, endless darkness. Suddenly the hero sees small flashes of light. He does not believe in it. He does not understand what is happening to him. The sensations of the protagonist are comparable to the fact that he woke up after falling into a swoon. Only when he opens his eyes, he sees that 4 teenagers are standing over the character. They grin and threaten to beat the main character more and more. Apparently, there was a conflict between the teenagers, which eventually escalated into a fight, in which 4 hooligans hit the boy very hard, so much so that he fell unconscious and does not remember anything. The chief of the 4 bullies refers to the hero by his first name, Kim Soo-hyun. We hear this name for the first time, but we can definitely say that the main character woke up precisely in the body of Kim Soo-hyun, a teenager who was beaten to a pulp by 4 hooligans in the backyard of the school. The hero rises sharply. He still cannot comprehend what has just happened to him. Just a moment ago, he was dealt a mortal blow by an incredible monster called himself Fafnir, in a destroyed world filled with monsters, and now he wakes up and sees 4 unfamiliar boys who had apparently beaten him earlier. The hero looks around, looks at his cleanest hands, on which there is not a single scar from past battles in a destroyed world, looks at the clearest blue sky in clear weather, which he has not seen for many years and cannot believe what is happening to him. It seems to him that this is a dream, just a sweet and good dream that never ends. However, Kim Soo-hyun's thoughts are interrupted by the head of the bullies. The teenager taunts the main character, who is in shock from what is happening to him at the moment. He mocks him, threatens to hit him again. Kim Soo-hyun can't believe there are living people in front of him. Being for a long time in the destroyed world of monsters, the hero was one of the last survivors, and now, he simply cannot get used to the idea that he is being awakened by living teenagers. At the same time, the main bully tries to stab Kim Soo-hyun for no reason. Due to his many years of experience in fighting many terrible monsters that can tear a person apart without any problems, it was not difficult for the hero to react to the bully's gift and put a block on him, which protected him from a direct blow to the face. Reflexively, after defending from the bully's blow, Kim Soo-hyun strikes back, which is several hundred times stronger than the offender's attack. The clenched fist of Kim Soo-hyun hits the offender right in the jaw, so much so that he is thrown several meters away from the main character. The company of offenders is in an unprecedented shock from the strength of the protagonist. They are horrified by his abilities and scream that he has gone crazy and does not know what he is doing. For Kim Soo-hyun, such a blow cannot even be called a light warm-up. He smiles maliciously into the faces of his offenders and apologizes for the blow. The offenders run away in horror from the main character, shouting multiple threats to life and health after him. It seems that these bullies cannot resist the main character on their own, but they manage to say all sorts of nasty things, up to threats of reprisals against him in the next meeting. The protagonist hears this name again, Kim Soo-hyun, he is surprised and does not understand why strangers do not call him in the old way, Kim Sung-in. It seems to him that the offenders simply did not recognize him or confused him with other teenagers who looked like him. The main character gets up from the gray asphalt and walks away from the scene of the fight. Having moved a little away from the place of the early beating, the hero finds a mobile phone, a black smartphone, which apparently was lost by one of his offenders. The hero is surprised by the model of this mobile phone. It seems painfully familiar to him. Kim Sung-in used a similar model himself, but this was already 20 years ago. Looking at the black screen of the phone, which looks like a mirror, the main character is surprised that in the reflection he sees someone else's body that does not belong to him. Not understanding anything, the hero wonders how he got into this body, who he is, why the world in which he is now looks exactly the same as his world 20 years ago. The story is transferred to the year 2042. It is said that this year was fatal in the history of mankind. Suddenly, dungeons unknown to mankind, full of the most terrible monsters, began to appear all over the world. The sudden appearance of the dungeons took all states by surprise. People could not resist the infernal power of the monsters living in the depths of the dungeons and lost the war. Thus, the monsters that the main character fought and got into reality. This event in the history of mankind was given the name Outbreak, because of its suddenness and lethality. Such an event marked human death and the beginning of a new stage in the life of mankind. However, along with the monsters destroying the remnants of civilization on Earth, people appeared in the world with powerful strength, allowing them to resist the most terrible monsters that came out of unknown caves. They were called Awakened, because they appeared from nowhere and did not have any memory of themselves in the past. However, their only goal was to protect the surviving humanity, and they became the only hope of the whole world for salvation. The main character, Kim Sung-in, was one of the Awakened, a strong hero who opposed the mass evil and protected humanity from final destruction. However, the battle between the monsters from the dungeons and the people with abilities was not equal. The monsters were often superior in strength and numbers. They brutally dealt with the Awakened until the moment when Kim Sung-in was left all alone in the whole world. Left alone against the monsters, the hero set himself the goal of returning humanity to its former appearance by all means and defeating all the monsters that came out of the dungeons and destroyed the civilized world. The hero appears before us in a police station in an unknown city. A man in civilian clothes learns from him his name, date of birth, data that could help him determine the identity of the hero. Kim Sung-in cannot answer a single question from the officer. He does not know the date of birth of the teenager in whose body he is now, nor the address where he can live. Paying attention to the calendar hanging on one of the walls of the police station, Kim Sung-in sees that now is the year 2022, that is, he has moved back in time 20 years ago, at a time when humanity could not even imagine that in the world, the appearance of unknown dungeons filled with terrible monsters is possible. The hero cannot imagine how all this happened to him. He clearly remembers his last battle with the monsters. He remembers that he met Fafnir, the leader of the monsters, and he remembers what happened. Fafnir killed him in the shattered world. However, at present, he is sitting in the police station and cannot answer the officer's simplest questions about his identity. The hero thinks about several options of what is really happening to him. It seems to him that this is a dream, or this is a special oblivion spell that Fafnir himself cast on him in order to torture the main character. But still, he understands that everything that happens to him is real. Kim Sung-in has moved into the past for 20 years in the body of an unknown teenager, Kim Soo-hyun. Being in the police station, the hero wonders what happened to him, how he managed to move in time, where his real essence is. Does he have at least the slightest opportunity to return to his body, the body of the hero, and fulfill his goal of saving humanity? At the same time, the police officer who was resolving the issue related to the situation with Kim Soo-hyun, and specifically the fact that he was beaten by several teenagers, lost hope of getting any information from the main character and just simply gave up. The policeman understands that soon his mother will come for the main character, and from her he will already be able to find out the answers to all his questions. The policeman gives the protagonist some instructions that can ensure his further safety in the modern world. The man points out that it is currently dangerous for the hero to visit the outskirts of the city due to an unknown event that the policeman does not disclose. The hero seems very suspicious of this unnamed event. He begins to remember the history of the origin of monsters in his world and thinks that there may be a relationship between such events. The conversation of the policeman is interrupted by the sudden cry of a woman who ran into the police station. She calls out to the protagonist and is surprised at the number of abrasions and bruises on his face. This is the mother of Kim Soo-hyun, the boy in whose body the main character has moved. We see that the woman is very worried about the main character. She asks about his condition, asks if he has any pain. We notice that the mother loves her boy very much and is not ready to come to terms with the fact that some hooligans harmed him. However, the protagonist reacts very embarrassedly to the woman. He sees her for the first time in his life, but he immediately understands that this is Kim Soo-hyun's mother and does not start screaming and escaping from the woman's hands. The exposition changes from the white walls of the police station to the evening city, along which the mother and the main character are walking. It's about 8 o'clock in the evening, the sun has almost set below the horizon, and the heroes can watch the most beautiful sunset, which marks the end of this difficult for both characters. The woman is surprised that her own son does not understand where they are going. However, she attributes extremely suspicious forgetfulness to the fact that her son was nervous from the attack of hooligans and hopes that this will pass soon. Also, she notices that her son's behavior is quite different from his normal state. He somehow answers her questions in a different way, behaves very stiffly. Almost all the time of the walk he walks in silence. Kim Sung-in doesn't know what to talk about with his new mom. In addition to the fact that he has to impersonate another person whose habits and character traits are simply unknown to him, Kim Sung-in has not been in the company of a living person for a very long time. All his friends and relatives died in another world engulfed in war and death. Therefore the hero is very unusual and he is not able to keep up the conversation. The hero is ashamed in front of a woman. He is gnawed by the feeling that he occupies someone else's body, uses someone else's personality. It seems to him that he is unworthy of the love that his mother shows for Kim Soo-hyun. All the main character's memories of his mother are associated with pain and suffering. He never felt care from his mother, and now, having got into someone else's body, the hero is very sad to realize that this care is not for him. The woman restlessly wipes the protagonist's dirty face with a snow-white handkerchief. She asks the hero about the hooligans who hurt him. It is clear that this situation was not the only one. Kim Soo-hyun was attacked by these teenagers quite often, but he was never able to fight back. The woman says that she will protect her son from evil teenagers. She is sure that they will not be able to remain unpunished forever and fair punishment will overtake them. They continue to walk around the park. However, they notice that there is no one besides them. They walked in the central park of the city, which is always filled with different people, children playing with each other, couples spending their dates in nature, and elderly people enjoying warm days. Today there was no one here, which caused excitement not only for the main character, but also for the woman. Suddenly, when, it would seem, nothing portends trouble, an unknown creature appears behind the heroes. Kim Sung-in immediately notices the terrible monster by the characteristic roar that he heard from behind him. The monster appears in the guise of a giant white wolf, which moves straight towards the mother and son. In a lightning jump, the wolf makes its attack, trying to tear the protagonist apart. Due to his many years of experience in battles with various monsters, the hero manages to evade the attack, which could be fatal for him, and also protect the woman from the attack of an unknown, terrible monster. He was helped by his lightning-fast reaction, which he trained for many months. The hero notices that in front of him is not just an animal, this is a monster that he has met in front of him not for the first time. His name is the Wolf War. The monster has terrifying red eyes, a strong body that allows him to perform high-speed attacks on his enemies, as well as the strongest mana, which helps him to withstand the strongest opponents. Kim Sung-in understands that the policeman, speaking about some strange things happening on the outskirts of the city, mentioned an outbreak, the appearance of dungeons filled with dangerous monsters, which destroyed the world of the protagonist. Kim Sung-in recalls that the time he was in was the beginning of outbreaks around the world. In 2022, the frequency of occurrences of dungeons unknown to the world has increased dramatically, which marked the emergence of a threat to all mankind. The hero recalls the horrifying footage of the world destroyed by monsters, recalls his warrior friends mercilessly killed by monsters, recalls Fafnir, the monster that killed him. He understands that in no case can he allow this to happen again, and that is why he must defeat the war wolf. The main problem for Kim Sung-in is his unpreparedness for battle. He is not in his battle attire, he does not have his blade with him, he is unarmed and does not pose any threat to the monster. The hero finds an object that vaguely resembles a melee weapon. It is an umbrella, bright green, which becomes a deadly means of defense in the hands of the hero. The woman lying behind is terrified. She does not believe that two war wolves are standing in front of her, because news sources reported that today's incident that occurred on the outskirts of the city was suppressed by government agencies and ordinary residents of the metropolis have nothing to worry about. However, now, Kim Soo-hyun's mother is in mortal danger and only the main characters are able to resist evil and protect her. The hero utters only one phrase, he demands that the woman does not move, so she has more chances to stay alive, since the primary attacks will be directed at the hero. He is concerned about his chances of winning this fight. He is in the new world for only a day, he is not used to the new body and simply does not know its limiting capabilities. Kim Sung-in takes a defensive stance, ready to take on the monster's attack. The werewolf jumps towards Kim Sung-in, with his razor-sharp claws he wants to cut the hero in half and eat his remains. However, with a powerful and sharp movement of his hand, Kim Sung-in delivers a point blow directly to the torso of the wolf, which injures him quite badly. The wolf groans in pain, but we see that this blow did not do enough damage to the monster, he only got angry and is preparing to deliver a decisive blow. Wolf Warrior bites his fangs into the protagonist's umbrella, trying to break it and get to Kim Sung-in. His body is unable to withstand the power of the wolf, which drives him to despair. He understands that if it were his old body, the battle with the wolves would not take him much time, but now, he is in a second from death and it seems that he has no hope of salvation. Suddenly, the second wolf war began to run towards Kim Sung-in. The main character understands that he cannot cope with two monsters alone. He is sure that he needs to become awakened in a new body in order to be able to achieve incredible strength. At a moment when the protagonist's hopes were already lost, Kim Soo-hyun's mother, who had to stay on the sidelines in order to protect her life from terrible monsters, attacked the second wolf and pushed him away from her son. The woman is thrown to the side and she falls on from a great height. The woman is unconscious, she has done her duty, she has protected her son from danger. The hero, being shocked by the courage of a woman, finds the strength to throw the wolf away with an umbrella and runs to the rescue in order to somehow save Kim Soo-hyun's mother. The hero runs up to the woman, he does not understand why she rushed to certain death, just to save him. He makes sure that everything is all right with her, she is badly hurt, her whole body is covered in abrasions and bruises, but she assures her son that he needs to leave and save himself. We can see that these words made Kim Sung-in angry, he doesn't just want to protect himself and his mother, he wants to truly destroy the monsters, break them into atoms so that they can never again somehow harm this heroic woman. He turns around and prepares to deliver the final blow when the monsters suddenly evaporate. Apparently, the werewolves were able to see the true nature of the protagonist for a second and fled in fear of him. Kim Sung-in cannot believe it, he screams, demands that they return and finish the fight, however, his exhausted body no longer holds him and he collapses from fatigue. Kim Sung-in just can't get over the fact that after his strongest form, which allowed him to destroy hordes of monsters with a single blow, he is now in a body that cannot kill two werewolves, one of the weakest monsters that have arisen. Because of the outbreak, he picks up the woman, helps her up and takes her on his back so that she does not waste the extra energy she needs to quickly recover from the damage inflicted by the monsters. The hero endures the most terrible pain, but he endures it in order to bring Kim Soo-hyun's mother to their house in gratitude for saving his life in the recent battle. In the direction of the woman, Kim Sung-in finds the apartment of the mother and the boy. He puts the woman on the bed, covers her with a blanket, creates all the conditions for the speedy recovery of strength. The hero says that the woman's wallet helped him a lot in determining the route for the house. Without him, the main character is sure that he would not have found her apartment. The woman wakes up for a second and even in such a short moment she reassures her son, saying that she is fine and he has nothing to worry about. A similar feature indicates a strong maternal love, which is developed in a woman. For the hero, such an attitude is new, he is not used to seeing that people close to each other help each other, even at the cost of their own health or death, and do not leave them to the mercy of fate. The thought that Kim Soo-hyun's mother acted in such a way to protect the rights of her son destroys the logic of the protagonist, he simply cannot believe such an attitude towards himself. According to the results of the battle that took place, the hero was dissatisfied with the state and limit of his new body in the new world. Kim Sung-in points out that the body of a teenager is not strong, fragile, unable to defeat more than a single monster. The hero is angry, he cannot believe that he has been given a new opportunity to save all of humanity from the monsters of the outbreak, but he has been given the most unsuitable body of a weakling boy for this. It seems to the hero that he will never be able to reach the level by which he will be worthy of being called a hero. He thinks that his rebirth will be no different from his past life, he will also make most of his mistakes and eventually lose to the monsters. Suddenly, the hero calms down, He understands that panic and discontent will not achieve anything and that a plan must be carefully thought out to counteract the spread of monsters in the modern world. Suddenly, an incomprehensible glow appears behind the main character. It looks like a portal to some unknown dimension. Certain words are heard from the portal. They say that Kim Soo-hyun has received the status of a test tower user and can use it for his own purposes. This dimension is called the Abyss. Here the heroes awaken and acquire the abilities that they will need in the war against monsters. The hero realizes that opening the gate to the Abyss is a good sign, indicating that Kim Soo-hyun's body can awaken and gain powers that will allow him to become the new hero of this world. The hero enters the Abyss and begins to know the body of Kim Soo-hyun for his further awakening as a warrior who will confront the monsters of the outbreak. The hero understands that Kim Soo-hyun, at the time of entering the territory of the Abyss, is much younger than the main character at the same moment, but in his past life. He understands that this can allow him to develop much more than before in order to defeat the monsters, which will become more and more. After entering the Abyss, Kim Sung-in no longer has doubts about his strength. He is confident that with hard work and frequent training, he will be able to reach a level that will indicate to the whole world that he is his new hero. The hero is greeted by the Tower of Trials, a training ground that creates conditions close to reality for learning and training. The Tower of Trials looks like an endless space that was created in order to create awakened people who can defeat monsters. It is known that a person who has passed only the first level of the Tower of Trials, or as it is also called the Abyss, can be recognized as awakened, which indicates a sufficient amount of his strength to counter the monsters. Accordingly, the Abyss system is very simple and consists in passing specific levels where you acquire new skills. Therefore, each of the awakened tried to reach the top of the Abyss, but only a few succeeded. Because the tower system has an impossible complexity aimed at creating merciless, strongest warriors. The test tower meets the protagonist. She indicates that he does not have a second to prepare for the deadly tests of the endless tower, and his training as a hero of the whole world will begin right now. The tower asks you to choose the difficulty level of the tests that Kim Soo-hyun will subsequently pass. He understands that he simply does not have time to prepare for a long time and go through the levels from the smallest to the highest. He is weighed down by the thought that last time, in the destroyed world, she did not pass the most difficult level of tests and, as a result, lost in the decisive battle to Fafnir, the leader of the monsters generated by the outbreak. Now he gathers all his will into a fist. The hero is no longer subject to fear. He understands that the fate of the whole world depends on his seriousness and willingness to fight to the end, to his death, which is why Kim Soo-hyun chooses the 10th level of difficulty, comparable to suicide. The hero talks about the Abyss system as a testing point for awakened heroes. On each floor you can choose a certain level of opponents who will oppose you. Accordingly, choosing the first level, the hero receives the smallest possible reward and the least experience, and with the 10th level, things are much more interesting. Having chosen the 10th level of difficulty of passing the tests, the hero showed that his intentions to save the current world from destruction are more than serious. Therefore, he wants to go through all the tests of the tower at the maximum level of difficulty in order to meet Fafnir again and take revenge on him. The hero understands that his decision is very risky and in the process of preparation he will have to face a lot of difficulties. However, Kim Soo-hyun is full of determination. He is ready for impossible trials to save the whole world. The hero is transferred to the battle arena. This is an old stone building that looks like the Roman Colosseum. We see many stairs and various passages, which indicate the complex structure of this building. Some doubts appear in the hero's thoughts for a second. It is clear that he is confused by his choice, because in the past attempts to train him in the Abyss, his maximum difficulty level was 8 and now, without any preparation, he chooses the 10th. However, Kim Soo-hyun immediately puts these thoughts out of his mind and says that he is ready to face difficulties in order to save the world. Kim Soo-hyun understands that he has no time to be weak. The last time it led him to defeat and a terrible death at the hands of Fafnir. The hero wants to avoid this fate and change his fate. The battle arena gives the hero the opportunity to choose a weapon that will accompany him in the battle against various terrible monsters. We can notice a fairly large number of different murder weapons from an axe to a crossbow or a scythe. The test begins. The hero is attacked by unknown creatures that look like large birds. He picks up an unknown weapon and belligerently shouts to temper his spirit even more. The battle begins, but we are not shown which weapon Kim Soo-hyun chose, nor how he defeated the advancing monsters. We are transported to the real world, in which an ordinary city dweller is attacked by war wolves, monsters that almost killed Kim Soo-hyun and his mother. They slowly approach the young man, who screams in terror. He has already lost hope of being saved from terrible monsters and is just waiting for his death. Suddenly, Kim Soo-hyun appears out of nowhere. He is happy that in the big city he managed to find these two wolves and can save an innocent young man. The battle begins. Kim Soo-hyun attacks the first wolf with his foot, pushing him away from himself and defeats him with a second blow, cutting him in half. We can see that Kim Soo-hyun has chosen his turquoise umbrella as his main weapon and he wields it expertly, making it a deadly monster-slaying weapon. The second werewolf looks in horror at what is happening. He is afraid of the main character. Kim Soo-hyun gets into a fighting stance and says that the monster standing in front of him is next in line to the world of the dead. We are shown the incredible strength of Kim Soo-hyun, which he acquired by passing the first test of the tower with the 10th level of monster difficulty. Now the hero has the status of an awakened one and his abilities allow him to fight monsters and kill them without any difficulty. We are greeted by a news report that indicates that the frequency of occurrence of unknown dungeons, inhabited by all kinds of monsters, has now greatly increased. A TV newscaster reports that the first dungeons in the world began to appear as early as 2019, and since then their number has tripled. The host reports that the dungeons that have appeared in the world have caused chaos in the modern world. They have caused great damage to the economies of states, and also still suffer damage, which lies in the fact that monsters emerging uncontrollably from the dungeons can kill innocent citizens. A further round of news, in its essence, has acquired a documentary character. The presenter explains that the suddenly appeared dungeons and towers of testing, called the Abyss, are a bit similar in structure, but that opinion has a number of differences. The facilitator shows graphs that indicate that the dungeons are graded according to the level of difficulty or danger posed by the monsters that live in it. There are 7 levels in total, which show the threat posed by the dungeon. Test towers are somewhat different in structure from the dungeon. The tower also has levels or floors, each of which is more difficult than the previous one. However, the test tower is endless and the hero chooses its difficulty himself when passing each floor. It is reported that scientists have not been able to fully study the features of the dungeons for 3 years now, due to more and more new features that arise with better study. The news source reports that the dungeons have aroused the interest of the general public, not only because of the growing danger of this phenomenon, but also because of the certain benefits that come from them. It is reported that in the depths of the caves you can find an element previously unknown to society. The most interesting physical properties. An underground element were ether stones, an ore that had a very large supply of energy, which cannot be compared with any resource previously known to society. Many said that essential stones are the second gold and, accordingly, their price has grown in very large volumes in a short period of time. This happened due to their value, their small number on the ground, as well as the difficulties associated with the extraction of ethereal stones. The rewards that people could receive in the dungeons changed the nature of the modern world. People who could awaken in the towers of testing began to have unprecedented glory to anyone, as well as the immense wealth that they received in the dungeons and trials. However, no one could have imagined that the world would have to pay a heavy price for such gifts. In the process of the emergence of the popularity of dungeons, there were often rumors about some kind of outbreak, a phenomenon when the strongest, most dangerous monsters break out of the dungeons, bringing only death. People didn't attach much importance to it anymore, because the benefits of the dungeons were just incredible. People did not imagine that such rare outbreaks were only a warning of one big catastrophe. The dungeons expanded very quickly in size, which promised the appearance of an increasing number of monsters that would immediately break out and destroy humanity. Looking at the horrific outcome of the ruined world of Kim Sung-in, the monsters will break free already by the year 2028, which will cause a global genocide of people and their complete destruction. We are transferred to a settlement. In an unknown world, we see old wooden houses with a brown roof. Young talk about updating the rating and the new leader, who took first place in the list. The company says that no one has seen this hero before and that he is an unknown but very strong character. We are shown the leaderboard of this world. You can be sure that this is the world of the Abyss, in which the awakened ones undergo their training in order to start earning money in the dungeons in the future. We see the name Kim Soo-hyun, which tells us that the main character coped with the first test of the tower 100% and deservedly took first place in the list of warriors. Suddenly, a portal appears in the middle of the street of the world, into which Kim Soo-hyun enters. He is glad to see the familiar streets of the testing tower, an endless world in which awakened people from all over the world gather. The hero says that the Tower of Trials is not only battle arenas with merciless monsters that prepare heroes for dungeon battles. The abyss consists of an infinite number of floors, each of which is a separate world with its own culture, size, climate. Heroes can stay here forever, constantly exploring many worlds and developing their power, or they can only go through the first floor, acquire awakened status and go into the dungeons, where heroes can receive many valuable physical rewards and gain popularity throughout the world. The importance of the abyss as a space for development lies in the fact that when moving from floor to floor, it is necessary to pass a special test that will show whether the hero is ready for new achievements or is it better for him to spend a few more trainings to increase his strength. Currently, Kim Soo-hyun resides on the second floor. This is the space for the heroes who have just awakened their powers and want to increase them to further fight the monsters of the dungeons. We are told that the second floor is the best place for development, because here it is easiest to acquire specific resources that can later be useful on subsequent floors, or to purchase weapons that, as a result, the hero will use for the rest of his life. However, it is important to understand that the test system in the abyss is very serious and not everyone uses such facilities on the second floor. For this you need to score a certain number of points, passing the test on the first floor, and only then the hero moves to the second. We are shown a brutal battle that Kim Soo-hyun had to go through on the first floor with the 10th difficulty level. We see the corpses of various monsters that the main character killed, dinosaurs and other monsters of the past lie on the ground, which were generated in order to prevent Kim Soo-hyun from passing the first test. The hero looks very tired after the first test of the tower. We can notice that the monsters of the 10th level exhausted the main character and he stands without any strength. Kim Soo-hyun is sure that if it were not for his skills that remained in his memories from his past life, he would never have coped with the terrible monsters of the first floor. We see that during the battle the hero remembered all the skills that he had in a past life. Reflexes and feelings returned to him, which helped him defeat monsters much stronger, and he is also sure that if everything goes according to his plan, he will be able to go through many floors and become even stronger. After Kim Soo-hyun passed the test of the tower, he was given victory points and awards. We can see that all of his stats have been increased, as well as a significant increase in the level of magic, and he was also given about 2,000 points, which put him in first place in the rank of players on the second floor of the abyss. After receiving such an award, Kim Soo-hyun was in an unprecedented shock from what he saw. He could not imagine that there could be such an award for passing the first floor. It was many times higher than his first award for passing the first stage. However, even now, seeing this number, the hero was not sure that he would pass to the next stage the first time. Going to the second floor, the first thing the main character thought about when he saw the number of points on his account was that he simply needed to buy an arsenal and many other resources he needed for further adventures in the Tower of Testing. Kim Soo-hyun came to an unknown shop that he thought contained the most necessary item for him at the moment. He is greeted by a beautiful elf saleswoman who thinks that Kim Soo-hyun is new to the abyss and doesn't know anything about her. He says that in her shop he can find whatever he wants. We are shown that the most beautiful elf is called Valley and she is a seller of skills. She suggests that Kim Soo-hyun pick him up with a specific skill build that might suit him. The hero, due to his experience in the abyss, knows that Valley is a very stingy merchant and always wants to sell as many unnecessary things as possible to ignorant travelers in order to get rich. The hero says that she knows all her tricks and he does not need help in choosing skills for further adventures. Kim Soo-hyun chooses only 2 skills, jump and transformation. Valley is surprised by this choice. It does not look like a standard set of a novice traveler and immediately gives out the protagonist's unprecedented experience in battles. The merchant doubted the balance of the protagonist, because such skills are very expensive and not everyone can afford them. However, Kim Soo-hyun ranks first in the ranking of players on the ground floor and his balance allows him to get everything he wants. After paying for the purchases, Valley thought that she had been deceived, because she had never met a player who, after the first test, would have received more than 1,000 points. However, Kim Soo-hyun denies that he has any extraordinary powers. For everyone he is an ordinary traveler, an ordinary customer who just wants to develop further. Then he acquired a spatial bag, or in a simple way, inventory, which can include an unlimited number of items, of any size and weight. Next, Kim Soo-hyun acquired the most important items that he will need for further tests and battles with monsters. These items were a sword, a short spear, a first aid kit and many more little things and resources that may later come in handy in adventures.